All right, aloha, Bernie-crats, Tulsi-crats, Indie-crats, free radicals, whatever you want to call yourselves, no affiliation, unaffiliated, independent, my own voice. My name is Dave. This is the Radical Independent. Thanks for subscribing, tuning in, being part of this channel. If you can help me out, by the way, over on Patreon and via one-time donations on PayPal, that would be much appreciated. Someone sent me this tweet. Actually, it was my friend Kelly. Sometimes Kelly and I do little discussions that we post online about various topics within the so-called progressive movement or indie movement, whatever you want to call it. These tweets are awesome. I want to read a few of them to you. First, people in the U.S. need to stop waiting for a savior to fix the country and stop giving their power away to professional liars and corrupt careerists. That is a great tweet. And it gets better. This isn't meant for Dem supporters. It should be clear to people on the left and the right by now that getting the right person in the White House, this is the crazy thing. This is the Joe Biden mentality. It might be part of the Elizabeth Warren mentality. Number one, it doesn't happen. You never get the right person. The Trump supporters found that out, even though they still like Trump. He is a bull in a china shop every day. And there's crap falling off the shelves. Number two, it won't change the systemic government corruption we are dealing with. Even if they try, remember JFK? So it's a big problem. It's a daunting problem. This is the one that really hits home for me as far as a tweet. It's time people in the indie media stop acting like the Dem primary isn't going to be 100% rigged and stop acting like our election system will actually change things. We are the change we've been waiting for. Indie media should be leading on this while we still have a platform. There you go. Whitney Webb, Mint Press News. Bam. I've been saying this. People get all cringy when I start talking Green Party. I get emails like, Dave, you're not giving up on Tulsi, are you? Retweeted a Howie Hawkins post. You're not. No. Look, I'm going to be the first to tell you, within the two-party system, if Tulsi or Bernie can somehow, and I'm going to use a term which isn't flattering, if they can somehow weasel their way to the front, because this is what you have to do in the Democratic Party, all right? Joe Biden, you're gonna see him continue to decline. Elizabeth Warren is she's being coronated. This is a little like the Hillary Clinton thing, except Hillary was well ahead of Warren. Warren jumps in and people see what Biden is like and they go, okay, we got Elizabeth Warren. She's still sharp. Again, 70 years old? Not to say 70's old, but it's old. It's not old by age standards today, but it's... You'd like to get somebody maybe 50 or even 38 years old. Imagine having a 38-year-old attractive woman who communicates well, who thinks on her feet, who's got a lot of issues really thought through. Imagine if you had that type of... Oh, what? Oh, you mean Tulsi Gabbard. Imagine if we had a Tulsi Gabbard and the media was fair to her and the polling was accurate and she was on the debate stage. Now, what this tweet points out, though, is what, again, when I did the brick wall thing, I didn't mean Tulsi herself, like her campaign is run out of gas. She's hit a brick wall, she can't... No, the brick wall was not put up by Tulsi Gabbard. It's obviously being put up by the DNC. And yes, I understand indie media is calling this stuff out, but they're also doing, okay, let's talk again about how yesterday Bernie went on a show, and the bias was incredible on that show. I mean, let's just talk through this, and we'll watch it as Bernie Sanders talks, and then we'll we'll parse everything he says, and then we'll and you're doing this. You're watching, okay? You're either clicking on or clicking off. Just did the click. Okay, here's the, it's a mouse or a remote, depending on what you got. The point being is that there is a lot of time that gets wasted or consumed chatting about what the media is doing to your candidate of choice. And I've done it with Tulsi Gabbard. I've done it with Tulsi because I'm trying to build the channel. But I realize in the end, if we just go down this road and hit the brick wall, and we knew the brick wall was there, this is the problem. Now, if you're a Jimmy Dore, and I'm not telling Jimmy Dore what to do, if you're a Kyle Kulinski, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I had a Twitter fight with some Kyle Kulinski person because I said, hey, he might not want to say F this, F that, every other word. Wouldn't you want your kids to learn civics and to learn what's going on? So you're cool with the 8-year-old being in the room? I know this is adult content, Dave. No, it's actually not. Anybody could go on Twitter or Facebook, rather, or Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, there you go, and watch this stuff. I'm just trying to say, you don't have to make it 100% family friendly, but maybe try a little harder not to look like the angry guy who's out pounding beers and going off. There used to be this dude on YouTube a few years back, and I think he was called like the angry guy. I think he finally stopped doing videos, but he would sit there and just yell, and people would watch it. I mean, he'd scream and yell, and then he'd have to breathe at the end because he was out of breath. It was weird. It was just, that was part of the shtick. It was like, it's like, great. That's what we need. More in our political discourse where people are screaming and yelling. So, again, I have about, 6,000 plus subscribers. I forget, 6,400, something like that. I haven't been counting, but it's going up, which is good. I'm happy about that. I don't have a big platform, all right? And this platform will not grow if I start saying, you know what, people, we need to go third party immediately. I did a video about Mike Gravel endorsing, or kind of endorsing Howie Hawkins from the Green Party. 300 views, which, I was averaging like 3,000. Now I'm at 300 and that would be the death of the channel because nobody wants to watch me talking about third-party candidates that have no chance, Dave. Okay, here's what needs to change. Systemic change, as this person, Whitney Webb, said a little higher up on the tweets here. And I have to get out of this. Systemic. Number 2, won't change systemic government corruption. If we continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result, that's what they call insanity. Tulsi Gabbard supporters, I love you guys. You are the best supporters on planet Earth. All right? I relate. They're independents, they're libertarians, they're Greens, they're Democrats who are maybe what you call classical liberals, old-time Democrats, whatever you want to call them. Tulsi, and maybe even a few Republicans in there. I understand you guys, your enthusiasm, your love for Tulsi Gabbard, but there's a reality that if we don't face it, we're all going to be heartbroken and stunned. Some of us are going to quit. Okay, some of us are just going to say, you know what, I quit. The reason I quit is because the whole thing's rigged. Well, duh. This is the problem. You're feeding off of all of these independent channels, and there are quite a few of them now starting to pop up, some reasonably good ones. And I'm thinking to myself, you're watching this all day, and you know the truth about what's happening, and then we have the car wreck or the train wreck, and then you're sitting there and you're going, okay, now what do we do? Well, that's why I'm talking about I had the Green Party co-chair reach out to me and say, it's cool that you're talking about this, and they're completely perplexed as to why Tulsi doesn't try the Green Party. And by the way, the guy was pretty honest with me. They need a higher profile candidate. I like Howie, and people like Howie Hawkins, and they have another candidate, Dario Hunter, I think is the guy's name. They need somebody with name ID. They need like a Jesse Ventura or whatever. And he has toyed with the idea. I don't know if he's just doing it for fun. But this isn't a time for our country to be worrying about another clown show. As much as I like Jesse, we don't need Trump versus Ventura so we can get ratings. We need Medicare for all. We need a living wage. We need to stop these incredible and wasteful military interventions. We've got a Cold War going on. We've got this thing now with Iran, Saudi Arabia, just as Tulsi Gabbard predicted. So we got all these things. So it's a serious thing. It's not sitting here going, I really want to build my channel. How's the lighting in here? Do you think I got good lighting? Do you think I look good on TV? Because I don't. I think I look like crap. Well, the bottom line is, yes, I do look like crap, and this lighting does suck. But but it's bigger than any of this stuff, all right? I could be in a cardboard box talking to you, all right, and telling you that the system is corrupt, it's broken, and we need to fix it and change it. And yes, please support Tulsi Gabbard right to the end. I have no problem. I'm not saying you stop. It'd be great to get Tulsi into the debate, but do you really think, again, I keep going back to Jill Stein's quote, you can't have a revolution in a counter-revolutionary party. You can't do it. You need to have a revolution inside a party that permits it. It's like the free speech thing on YouTube or wherever else. It'd be great to be able to say what you want to say without being fearful that your paycheck is going to go away. Because that's what most of us, and some of us are making good money doing this. Some of us are making break even or get by kind of money, and some of us are making little dribs and drabs. Comes in here, goes away over there. So anyway, I wanted to point Whitney Webb's tweet out here, especially regarding the one where they talk about how the election system in the primary isn't, because this is what indie media is doing. They're acting like this is going to work. They're acting like, well, we just got to get Bernie up there. We just got to get Tulsi up there, and it's going to be great. Who says? We had the last thing, I know, Hillary Clinton had all this build up, and she was the anointed one long before, and maybe that's a little different from this, but based on the first 7 or 8 months of this, looks like the same thing to me. And again, what's the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? I think they call that insanity. So let's not be insane. Let's not do the insane thing. Let's really think this through and understand that if the brick wall happens, we need to have a plan B. And a plan B is probably going to be like the Green Party or some independent party. That's all I'm saying. And yes, we have to get that party on all 50 state ballots. And there's a good chance that party is going to lose this election cycle. Again, depends on who they nominate. I mean, if it's Joe Biden against Donald Trump, there should be an incredible movement away from the establishment at that point, because you really have two guys that are just both out of it, and they don't represent. They're all for the corporatocracy, the oligarchy. You won't get any sort of healthcare reform, either one of those guys. And I just think at that point, if you're not off the train, whatever that train is, the DNC Express, then I can't help you, and I don't think indie media is going to help you either. Indie media is just they're going to document what's happening. They're going to do left versus right, or progressive versus pseudo-progressive, or why Elizabeth Warren is not really a progressive, and yada, and we're going to keep saying it over and over again. You've already convinced the people who, know this stuff already. So who's left to convince? Those people aren't watching you. They're watching MSNBC. They're watching CNN. So we've got to say, okay, and we need to just organize and go off the grid, literally. Maybe not go off. We need to still keep talking, but we need to start talking about issues. Number one, talk about the big ticket issues. And then number two, All right, organize to start something new, different, and exciting, and maybe you draft a candidate. If you don't like Howie Hawkins or whoever is out there, you don't like those candidates, we need to draft a candidate, and we need to do it quickly because it's almost October and it's going to be November, and by the time we get to look, I'll know everything once they do the Iowa caucuses, but by then the problem is there's not enough time to pull off a coup. You know what I'm saying? A coup would be when a bunch of people who were progressives, Bernie or bust people, or Tulsi or bust, or whatever you want to call it, those people say, all right, what's our alternative? Who is all, and you're not probably going to find a quality candidate like Tulsi Gabbard. I got people sending me messages, well, Tulsi doesn't get the nomination, and they're not even saying if Bernie gets it, they'll go with Bernie. They're just saying if Tulsi doesn't get it, I'm going back to Trump. And it's like, oh gosh. All right. So this is what we're up against. And I just think Whitney Webb hit this thing out of the park. And go follow Whitney Webb. All right. See you soon.